Bolsong, for joining me this afternoon. I'm very happy that you have taken the time out of your busy schedule to have this interview with me, or let me say, this conversation with me. Thank you very much.
Thank you also so much for having me this warm.
All right. So we would want to know who Miss Sabina Sabia Bolsong is. So tell us about yourself. If someone meets you on the street and is like, please, can I know you? What will you tell the person?
So, like you rightly said, I'm Sabina Sabia Bolsong. I hail from the Upper East region, Zanlerigo to be precise, and I was fortunate to have been born in Tema, where I lived with my dad, mom, and four siblings.
Okay.
And, yeah, so basically that is it. And so I usually tell people not to mind my main face because I have a mean face. So people might think they cannot relate to me, but I'm actually a very nice person.
I,
Yeah.
I, yeah, I can, should I say, attest to that? Yes, because I've been with you for some years, so definitely I know that aside the serious face, there is that soft side too of you. Can we start from the very beginning? Your childhood. How was your childhood? How did you grow up? How has it been? How was it with you, your family, siblings, friends, even in school? Can we go into that?
Like I said earlier, I was born to one Peter Sabia, who works at the Ghana Ports and Harbors, and one Lamisi. However, yeah, their own personal issues, they couldn't stay together. So I ended up staying with my dad and a stepmom, who was actually a very nice person. If I don't tell you, you wouldn't believe she's my stepmom. And we've lived together for over 20 years now. And I did basic school in, um, I actually started at a government school in my community. That's community two. So I started with an Agri Road, yeah, school. And then I moved from there at class five. I moved from then I went to a private school, which
Okay.
is new age experimental school. Yes. So that was it. Then when I completed my BC, I went to Kinta Secondary School where I did my senior high school. Then yes, so childhood was very sketchy, if I should put it that way. I wasn't the type that was counted amongst the brilliant student in class due to the fact that I loved watching television a lot.
Mm.
I did a little studies, and my father was a very strict dad, I must say. So I think I should thank him for helping me
Mm.
come up to this and getting to this stage. So my BC, I wasn't that. Um, I won't say intelligent, but I think I was focusing too much on
On
so
other things other than study.
the
Mm.
playfulness of being a child and not focusing on new books. So I remember there was a time that I didn't do well. And when we are having our basic our
Mm.
day, your father will give you something small to go and give to that teacher who teaches you.
Yeah.
And you take your food inside your basket with some Fanta and a little money.
Yeah.
Then was the time that after every vacation, after your our day, you have to bring your script
Yes.
and your reports. So because I was usually the bad one in academics, I'll be the last to go. So
Mm.
my sister goes, then my big brother goes. They always had a very good results. Then I go after, and the insult I always receive to the
Um,
extent that. My
Maybe
father,
that you go. I was thinking you would say that you just throw the report away somewhere, then
so
go
what
and
I usually, as a child as I was, I usually pick out the bad scores from the script. No, forgetting that in the report itself, they had indicated your
F.
very you had in the other script. So I was usually beaten and insulted. Actually, I was really beaten during my childhood days because I didn't want to study. So, like I said, I thank my dad for being there for me. So to even demonstrate how unserious I was during my basic school, I didn't get school when
Mm,
I was BC. So my father had to go and fight for me. You
to find
know, uh-huh.
unnecessary.
Yes, then I got to school. So I initially chose Accra Girls Secondary School, and I didn't get it. So now
Mm,
my father fight for me, and I got the Kesa school, and I don't regret going to Kesa school. Kesa school was a school I really enjoyed attending. I'm
mm.
so
So now
because
you have let's take it from you have left Kita school. So you now going into the tertiary. So how did you get into the tertiary? Was your studies at Kita the same as you being in DHS, or it improved and
definitely you take those character of yours to the SS, thinking it's the same ball game altogether. And if I must even say, even when I was doing my basic education, my father had to repeat me to 6 years because he realized that this girl was just not serious.
serious?
So I was supposed to. So I went to JSS 1. I did
Mm,
my thing, and my father realized that if I don't repeat this girl, she wouldn't be serious in life. So
mm.
when we opened school for the second time, my father followed me to the headmaster's office, and just told the headmaster that I want you to repeat my daughter, and that was it. So just imagine finishing first term and going back to class 6 to start
I,
second, and your class is just opposite the class 6, and you will
I
see it.
about
It was,
going to feel amongst your colleagues and friends.
I tell you, it was one of the, I don't know, but I didn't feel a certain way because I think I deserved, or I thought I deserved being repeated. So it was after then that I started picking up and
Okay.
becoming with my books. So after SS, I think if I had started earlier, I would have been better. But because it was a bit late, I didn't really perform like I should, and I cried girls didn't pick me. So when I went to Keta school, I tried doing my best, but I think I was too playful. That was my problem. I was
Mm.
too playful. I like the agor, if I should put it that way. So even though I was doing general arts and all that, I think I get serious at a point, and
And
you
then you
meet friends, you hang out. It gets to a certain stage, like when you get to Form 2, you try to be that senior. You don't go to class like you
class.
should.
Mm.
So I demonstrated those habits also in SS.
Now we have left GHS, SHS. We are now moving into tertiary. You mentioned that you went to UDS, right? So
Mhm.
what happened at UDS? What course did you do? How was your
So
um
how I even got to UDS is also one funny story. So when I finished with the WASI, I didn't do well. So I had to now sit and rewrite all the papers within a year. So I attended remedials and I got it. So I applied. And when my first application, I didn't apply um, to UDS. I only did Legon, Tech, those traditional schools. Everybody wants to be in Legon, everybody wants to be in UCC.
yeah.
And the course I was given in Legon, because their admissions usually comes out early. So the results I was given, I mean the course I was given, they gave me fine arts.
Okay.
I was just happy. Okay, Legon has given me a course to do.
Course
So
to do.
I
Mm.
could my dad to come so that I would tell him. Then now my dad comes and I tell him that, oh, this is what they gave you. My friend said, you will do this course. My friend says, you will do this course. So you have to sit and wait and apply again. And you know, those times, it was not, they were not doing their waiting results. So when
Yes.
you wait for a year to apply.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. So I had to sit in the house. And this time around, I had to spread my tentacles. So I
Wow.
added
UDS.
this. I got economics and entrepreneurship development. And I was
Okay.
with economics when I was in the SS. So it was something that I really had the fundamentals. So I was happy. And my father gave me the go ahead to go and do it. It comes down to my father. My father has always pushed me to be very hard because women from the northern side are looked down upon. You understand that they can't do anything. So I had the aspiration to be a lawyer one day. And if I don't become a lawyer, then I have to be a nurse. So
Mm.
those were the two options I had picked for myself. Yes. But coming out with those grades, you know that there's no way any school will pick you for law. They
Mm.
always those who had the ones, the odd A's and all that. Yes. So it was just a stepping stone for me. And I wanted to do something that I had interest in because along the lines I realized that if I have interest in what I'm doing, I do it better.
Mm.
Yes. So that is what pushed me. So even at UDS, they are first. So when we go initial level 100, you do a general course.
Okay.
Well, so it is when you are going to 300 that you have to specialize. So they have the economics entrepreneurship development, they have environmental communication. But I decided to go and do economics entrepreneurship because I realized that is where my interest was
Was.
aligned.
Mm.
Yes. So that's how come. But I always knew it was just a stepping stone for me to do law because I
Mm.
couldn't go in straight.
Okay. That was what I was going to ask you. That how come you switched
True.
straight from the entrepreneurial skill course to
To yeah, to law.
law?
Yeah. So it was just a stepping stone because I couldn't get in straight. And I
Mm.
lay my time further. I decided to just do the economics and to do something that I had interest and passion to do. And I
Okay.
want a good cause so that my foundation will be strong
Mm.
before going to do the law. So it was sort of planned to get a good first degree and still pursue law.
I see. So how was law school?
Which one? Faculty level.
From faculty to,
Problem.
yeah,
So
be
okay, so starting with faculty, when I came in 2016, UCC Faculty of Law, it was a different ball game altogether, I must say. Yes, and then I realized that was when I realized I have to, if you want to make it, you have to invest time into it. That was the first thing I got to know in UCC Faculty of Law. And the fact that you have to spend longer hours to study.
mm,
Also, I said that when I got to Faculty of Law. Because even in UDS, I used to study, but it wasn't as long or for longer hours like it was in UCC. And we're all there. Anyway, one of the people I always met in the law doing
for me when they ask me to tell about or talk about how you've made it through studies, probably I might be able to say some of these things because I witnessed how you put in the hard work. So I'm happy to see that you are thriving. Yeah, I am.
we thank God for the heavily strength, like I always say.
Yes, yes. Some of
No,
us we do admire the zeal, the determination. Yes, because I hire quite sometimes we give up, but uh, when we look at you, we become inspired. So let's talk about law school and how you
Yeah,
were able
so with
to.
like UCC built me up in a certain manner.
Mm,
Um, that's I went into law school with. So with the longer hours of reading and studying, that was how. So it's like, okay, this is the finishing lap. So I have to put in everything to make sure I get to the end of the tunnel. And what I always had in mind was the fact that I want to do this thing within 2 years
mm,
and run away. Because you know your father has invested money, so you don't want a situation where you would even repeat or fail. And you know they are closer to pension. So you are factoring everything in
mm,
so that the burden. Yes. So the main purpose in law school was to read hard, pass, and leave the school within 2 years.
mm.
So that was what was driving me,
Okay.
kept pushing me that I should put in everything because I realized the pressure I was feeling in UCC Faculty of Law is like 10 times that pressure I'm feeling in Ghana Law School. And
Mm,
because we don't do any um, 3 terms, it's like 1 year.
yeah.
The lecturers will be teaching now for that long period. So don't like structure, pick up a strategy that will help you. You might be lacking behind by the time we enter into the next year.
Mm,
That is the full force I started with. That I'm supposed to go, whether or not there's any mock upcoming or there's any class quiz coming up, which were not recorded for any assessment, but just push because I knew the end is just here. So I just
yeah.
have to try so hard to get there and come out
Mm,
as without any issues with Ghana School of Law.
of
So
law.
some of the things that kept running through my mind when I was in there. And yes, it was challenging. It's not like I didn't meet challenges, but there were challenges as to you getting sick because sometimes it gets to you so much that you just break down.
Mm,
Tell yourself, I can't afford to break down, so you have to. So it's like you are your
yep.
own encouragement. You have to
Mm,
encourage
yourself.
somebody. Yes, push yourself to that limit because if you don't push yourself, you'll be so relaxed to the extent
Mm,
the time you realize exams is upcoming.
up.
It's
Mm.
certain things to do.
That is where I would want you to go into very much for us, for those who are in the law school. You see, somebody wants to hear someone who has been there before to tell him or her how it felt like. So I'd be grateful if you can put in, some words of encouragement for colleagues that are doing the BL.
Okay, so I
How
think
would, okay,
I have had talks at certain places in
okay.
relation, and every time what I tell them is just start on the basis or on how your strength is going to allow you. One of school's pressure in class, you see people citing cases you have not heard of.
Mm,
You see people talking about things you have not read up to that page or side. So do not let that pressure you. Like you'll be feeling so pressured. Hey, how come this guy knows this and I do not know? That will be
mm,
your downfall. So
mm,
work at your own pace. And working at your own pace means as soon as you start school, start reading. You don't have time to be piling things down. Start making your notes. And that is what I always tell them. You have to make your own handwritten notes so that during revisions, you'll be reading the notes and not the textbooks. Because the
mm,
text is so big that you won't get the time to go and look for whatever you are looking for. However, if you make summary form of everything you are reading alongside reading to understand, then you'll be good to go. So starting from day one, your note making, and try and read and understand, and don't do chew and pour. That is one of the mistakes people do. Law school is not about chew and pour. It's about reading to understand and being able to say it in your own words for the person to understand. So I believe in paraphrasing. I paraphrase a lot, and I use everyday English. You won't see me writing any, using any big
Big
grammar.
drama.
In how you, I don't. I'm not legalistic. Trying to use the legal terms just to say something simple I could have said in just one or two sentences. So I just, that is what and get a very effective group discussion. You don't just go for group discussion because we are all from UCC, so let's have one group discussion.
Have it.
No, you have to mix them up. Students from Lagos, students from UCC, students from Tech,
Yeah.
so that you get a varieties. So that they will also tell you some of the things that maybe there might be certain topics that we couldn't cover when we're in faculty. So you try and get their side and how the work works. And
Thought.
they have so many things. I remember that in our land law, we're dealing with only principle, no cases.
Yeah.
But when the lecturer is teaching, hey, you see people mentioning cases that I've not
Eh,
heard before. I have
eh,
not heard, but I realized that, oh, okay, these people, they are conveying like land law is good. So let me try and tap into, at least they will give me some directions, some of the things that I'll let me just tell them to be my weakness. So when it comes to a particular course, I'm weak because I didn't get the fundamentals I needed in faculty level. And what we do in Ghana School of Law is like a continuation of whatever you have studied.
Okay.
Certain things were difficult for me because I learned them when I was in UCC Faculty of Law. Certain things were still in my mind because I read them when I was in UCC Faculty of Law. So it
True.
was for me to catch up or even say offhand what I knew about that case because they made us do it. You
Yeah.
understand? So I realized that okay, then my fundamentals are good, even though I might be weak in certain areas. So let me just build. So it's like Ghana School of Law is you building what you already know.
No.
That is the procedure, like the procedure sort of things. Yes, but you are building the substantive you have studied in faculty.
Faculty. Okay.
So I always say, let your foundation be strong.
Um,
Don't take your the things you study in faculty level as a joke, because I
mm,
realized what I put in effort to understand certain things. I had it easier, especially company commercial. Okay, I
okay.
know bits, but UCC students are good with company law, and
Mm, yeah.
so it helped me in the sense that I didn't struggle to do certain things because I already knew them.
Knew them.
What I already knew, and it helped all of us. So it's just strategy. Makola is all about strategy. If you are able to strategize how you study and you invest more time into your studies, you come out without any strings attached.
Touched. Yes. So on that note, I would want to drag us back. I would want you to also talk to the people who are now preparing to write or sit for the entrance examination. I remember during our time, it was very emotional for most of us because we went in with the hope that it's a one-time thing for us and would just go in. Unfortunately, only few people were admitted that year. So it brought some people down. Some students were depressed. Some didn't want to continue again. Others went into other fields. Others decided to just continue with some other thing like LLM and other master programs. So I would want you to say something to the individuals who are preparing to sit for the entrance examination since you have been there before. So
So what I'll say is, one thing I realized was the fact that when it comes to entrance exams, there's nothing like someone has first class, someone has second class, someone has third class. It's not about the class you complete the school with. You understand? There are people who had third class or even passed, but they made it to Makola, and some of us didn't make it. So that doesn't matter when it comes to entrance exams. And secondly, to don't feel you are entitled to enter Ghana School of Law. That is what I realized when it happened to me that I didn't get it the first time. You are not entitled. It is not automatic for you. It's something you are fighting to enter.
So,
So you invest your time in understanding what you've been taught. And you have to also pay attention to the basics, because I've realized that of late, the line of questionings they are given out is the basics. They need to know if you understand the basics you have studied in the faculty level. You understand? So much goes into entrance exams, and it's not about the fact that you are so good, you are so intelligent, so it's automatic. No, and don't feel you are entitled to enter. Some of us, the first time in 2019, we felt, oh, even the questions that came, and
yeah.
capacity and whatever. Sources of law, which UCC students wouldn't know anything about sources of law with cases.
Cases.
Your enter, because this one day, I remember when I came out, I was just laughing, and
No,
I was,
I
hey, God has given, like, they just break you. So it was one of my humbling moments. So I always say those who will humble you, no matter how good you are, if he wants to humble you, he will humble you. So you don't feel that I'm so good. So but this one. And I've also realized that when it comes to the constitutional aspect or the essay type of question, they pick on things that are usually happening in the system. So I tell people that pay attention to what is happening
the
around you.
news. Yeah.
Because you don't know how whatever question they might bring. And to even cite an example, when we're going to write the 2020 entrance, I was just cleaning the house one Saturday and I was watching News File. News File, and we're talking about the residuary powers of Parliament. Me, that one, I heard it before, even though I've been going through the Constitution. Because it's at the far end where you would concern you. Oh, and they were saying, so it was during the COVID moment,
Yeah.
okay? Talking about the EI, that if it is constitutional for the executive to even bring out an EI when Parliament has gone on recess and all that. Eh. So, okay, let me listen. So they were making arguments. Then one person mentioned that particular article that when the Parliament and I on recess, they can bring. This is one of the articles they can rely on to make other laws or whatever they said during that time. I was like, wow. So I was listening as one of those things. And when I went to the examination room, they now asked that question they asked on the COVID question. And at the
And
last, sorry, my I was just writing what I heard on this
head of
box.
it.
Those I was just writing. Oh, that was what I just reproduced there. Whatever arguments they made on that
Made
show.
on TV.
Because when they were talking, I tried to understand their arguments they were making. And I also took it and made it one of my arguments. So I always advise them watch news file, because news file most of the time they discuss the current issues.
Issues.
So,
Yeah.
like, I
Most
think they should do
related.
defamation.
Yeah.
The response issue on defamation, the judgment came out. This citizen issue,
This,
James Quay,
yeah.
just because you don't know where they will bring these trending issues.
Yes.
In as much as you are paying attention to the books, also pay attention to what is going on around you. So
Around you.
the situation where they bring those as essays, at least you get one or two arguments to also put on paper. So that's some of the things I'll tell them. And it's not all about attending classes. I know some people, but when we're going to write the Second World War, like I always put it, I, didn't, I just sat in my house and I read. And the time I invested in reading for that, when I was in school, it was the same time I invested. And I read and I wrote. So it's not always about, because sometimes you get so many information that, or so much information that you do not even know how to even set and arrange it and put wherever one belongs and all that. So when you get so much information and you cannot consume, it becomes a waste of your time. So we just, and this should be the prayer that you praise God a lot, even if you don't even believe in God and even believe in any deity, just go and be praying to them, because I think that the favor of God also plays a role in all
No.
this.
Yes,
Yeah,
most times I hear law students talk about God, God, God every time. Favor, grace. You see, when you enter prayer rooms and then you don't meet any law students there, then I think that law for you is not authentic, because
yeah,
the way
we are
these law students pray,
and,
I sometimes think they should bring.
and one thing, when you enter Ghana School of Law, the anxiety is there from the
Mm,
even at the point that you are waiting for your results,
mm,
because you don't know what you'll be seeing in your portal or however they bring out the results. Trust me, the anxiety, I had so many anxieties.
mm,
In the examination, I get anxieties.
mm.
We just get diarrhea at once, all in the name of I'm going to write an exam.
Exams.
So the anxiety at Ghana School of Law is on a different level. If you don't psych yourself,
You
it becomes
always.
limited
So
burden.
how do you feel now from, should I say, childhood? You've been wanting to be a lawyer. You've gone through a series of stops, hindrances. I don't want to do again. You have to do, and all those things. How was the feeling like when you one day woke up and I'm a lawyer? How was it? How did you feel like?
I think it started from the day the results came out.
Mm,
So before they delayed in releasing our results, and trust me, those time, that's 3 weeks. That usually they release it in I think September, ending of September. Then we'll do the call in October. Hey, we enter October and the thing is still not out. And that is when you be hearing the false news. Hey,
they
this
have
number
canceled.
has,
They have done that.
I tell you, hey, it was just, and that was a moment that it's not like I'm not spiritual, but I'm a very spiritual person. But it helps you grow in faith.
Faith.
In faith helps you grow in
Mm,
faith, because and that is when you be sitting down and you are talking to yourself using the gospel. You can just be sitting down. Yes, the tongue speaks good and both good and evil. So we should
evil
remind stay with
of
our
the way.
tongue. I will
Mm,
say that I will fail. I know I have passed. The declarations you make, because of this, the fear of the unknown. You don't know
mm,
how, and
it's
some of
going
us
to.
are working. So it's like, so if you don't pass, it means that you are still stuck
Yeah.
at one place.
Place. Mm,
Where do I even start from again?
again. Mm.
It was one of the terrible moments. The anxiety got so up to the extent that you'll be sleeping and you are dreaming dreams. That's experience. And I remember one of the times you can be there and you are crying.
Mm.
No, you've not heard anything, but you are
You
crying.
don't know why you are crying, but then there is tears.
You don't know how the results are going to turn up. So you are just crying. And your worst problem is when you in your head you think you have deviated a question in the exams. And it happened to me. Part one, there was a question on amendments. And when I came out, it was as if I had deviated. Hey, even when you are home, you are just thinking that you cannot, like you are just calculating. Oh, Charlie, if I get 15
Yeah.
here, 12, like I'll be able to. So it's challenge. And the results comes and your results are beyond what you imagine you get.
Mm.
So I remember when my results came and I saw my raw scores. I usually go for the raw scores because I want to
Oh,
see whether
what? Mm.
I'm actually serious. Then I was like, hey, so I can get this in Ghana School of Law. That was what
Mm.
I so I can get this in my because me, I was fighting for 50 plus one. 50
Pass
and
mark. That's all. Mm.
that grades, and you're like, hey, so I can really get to this in Ghana School of Law. Then that be aside. Now you enter part two, and that one is like you are not even certain because even though you have passed earlier, you are wondering. So you cannot use your the pass you had in part one to determine that you are
Let me
going to pass.
do in part two. Mm.
Part two is a different. So you are also praying God, praying. So when we finished school, now we're waiting, and I think I slept and I had a dream, and in the dream I was just told that no, it was like I will take care of you.
Mm.
That was it. Like it was like God telling me I will take care of you.
Fine. Mm.
That was it. Worry not, I will take care of you. Even with that one in the dream, you wake up and you're still thinking because
That's
it's a, you understand. So you hold on to the faith so hard that like I won't give up. Like God is I have done my part. I leave it to God.
what
Because come into play when someone might be tired, just marking. Is that when people go to remark, they pass. So what's doing to the other literacy? So it goes beyond I have written. Let me just go and give it to them to mark. You have to also pray so that things does not go against you in the marking process. So Charlie Ghana School of Law, if you are there, you have to hold God. Hold on to God.
mm.
You have to hold on to God.
God. So how is the law practice going? How is it going?
Oh, okay, so we are learning on the job, day in, day out. You learn new things by the fact that they give you certain things to do.
Okay.
Helps you boost your confidence level. Yes, so far so good. And we learn new things too as we are going because most of the things are learned on practice.
Mm.
Yeah. So far so good. We are doing our best.
Have you been in court on your own?
Oh yes. I travel a lot.
How is the experience? How is it going?
But I think with me, I have the confidence because of my internships. I did so many internships. You know, you used to see we're doing internships. And also
Yes.
I did so many internships and I even did internships with judges. So I got to know the ins and outs of court. So, and when you get closer to a judge, it helps you build your confidence because
Mm.
you know, no, they are just ordinary human beings, just that they are judges. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I didn't fumble my first time when I was introducing myself. It was just um, okay. The situation where you fumble is when, like in the morning, they just give you something to do. I was always complaining about that because you
Mm.
don't pay. When you go and they're asking questions and you do not have an idea about, it's a terrible experience.
Meditating. Yeah.
Terrible experience. So now I don't like holding briefs on briefs that I don't know anything about because I feel it's an embarrassment to me.
Mm.
So yeah.
So how is law practice and then your new family?
So
how it's like being married to being a lawyer and then being married to a lawyer? How is it like?
So I think because we are both lawyers, there is this common understanding because he understands the dynamics and he's my senior, so definitely he wouldn't be expecting you to do certain things because we all come to work and we all go home. So I think it helps with bringing up the family if you understand each other and you understand the work of each person. Then at least it helps you also have pity for the person. If maybe today the person says I cannot go, you should know the person has work, the person is tired, so you don't take it to heart. You don't take
Yes.
it.
So
Yeah,
how
and I
how
it's
mm,
more. It's just the two of us, so I
yeah.
think challenges are not there. Yeah,
Mm.
yes, the challenges are not there. So maybe when the family starts growing, then maybe we might be facing one or two challenges. Aside that,
If there is nothing at all about you that someone would ask me, and then I'll say, oh, this one I don't know. There is one thing that even if I'm sleeping and then they ask me, I would still close my eyes and answer. So I want to ask you that question. How is enjoyment going?
enjoyment. Oh, enjoyment. Yeah. Oh, the enjoyment is enjoying.
How
So
how are you doing the law, practicing the law, and then practicing the enjoyment too?
it's that one day you have to hold on to it, but because that's the only distressing thing you have in life.
You see, most of the times people say that lawyers don't have time for other things. Lawyers don't even have time for their families and all that. That's why I'm asking you about enjoyment. Do you have time? Because when we're in school, the life of the party is here, and we have to give way for you to do your thing. So that's why I'm asking you, do you still have time for enjoyment,
Oh,
even though
you know me, believe me, trust me. People think, okay, because you got the summer, you were not enjoying life. It's wrong. Me, I really had fun. And it was just calculative fun. I don't just go and be everywhere at every time. I always,
mm,
I learn, I put on. I don't know if you understand. Like, I make sure I have covered enough.
mm,
So I'll go and food or I'll go and have fun. So it's not like we don't have fun. Fun is what will help you distress because
mm,
already stresses you a lot. But you should know when and the time to have it. And that is what I was doing or been doing in law school. Law school, they have a lot of parties. Me, I was
mm.
organize the parties in my class. I
I
was one,
see.
and I will organize for you right now. And I'll go and, but just that you should know we were doing it at the time that we know that okay, we are all tired. Let's do party.
Have
And
fun. Mm,
yes, or maybe when you have a group like effective group discussion group members, it's also help because sometimes we'll stay there, then it gets so we just agree on a day that we'll all and go and just hang out and have fun.
mm,
So I had group members like that, but we're not doing it every time. It is when you get tired. There's a point that you are so tired that you cannot learn. So you just need that one thing that at least will let you know that oh, you are also human.
mm.
Try and just feel free a bit. Put the
Yeah.
books out when distress your mind, and it actually helps.
Mm. I'm sure when it came out that you are being called to the bar as the overall best student, I'm sure people were not really let me say people might be surprised because this is Sabina, this is enjoyment. How was she able to, you know, navigate through the walls of law school and still um be called to the bar as the overall best student, the Saba awardee, how were you able to do that? I think I have to ask that question before we end this conversation. how were you able to do enjoyment and then still be the overall best student for your class? I mean,
So like I said earlier, I always study. I study ahead. I study ahead of time. So I don't wait till I have an exam before I study. So from day one, it was just reading, and because it was now 2 days, I go for Monday, Tuesday, then I read. I go to the library from morning till 5.
mm,
So by
mm,
7:30, I'm in the reading room.
mm,
Then 1 to 2, I go on break, lunch break. Then 4, then 2 o'clock, I'm back. Then I close at 5. So
mm,
learning patterns. So the rest of the days, that's what I do. It is
mm.
on Sundays that I'll hardly do that because I have other, maybe you go to church, you want to at least prepare for the next day. Then Saturdays I go and I do have time because by the time I'll do the 3 days, I'll be feeling so tired. So the
Yeah.
energy there as it was on maybe Wednesday. So I'll just go
Oh,
and do. I'll come back to the house.
mm.
So it was how I structured myself. So I was not behind because I made sure that I was also making my personal notes and doing
Mm.
my. So you won't see me in the library reading 24/7. You won't see me doing all night. I wasn't even doing all night. I was just doing day full time during the day because I realized I was a day person. So they
Okay.
helped. So I was just doing full time during the day. Then I rest maybe days. So, in as much as you see me do other things, it's not like I've not studied. I've prepared my like everything. So I do everything consciously and planned. I don't just get up and go and dance because I want to dance. Because if you joke, you get stuck in there, and it'll be difficult for you to come out. So me, I wasn't expecting about. Oh, because after all the chilling, there are people. I always thought there's someone who studies more than I do.
You do, yeah.
I didn't plan that I'll get someone. And even
Mm.
the day before, myself and Jibodi, we were rather pinpointing people in the class,
That
who,
we get it. Mm.
so we're like, Shana, wait me, Shana. So we had already picked people. So all we're going for is go and attend because
Yes,
you have
yes. Mm.
anything special there. It's just that you feel you are proud because you have completed law
You have,
school.
yes.
That was it. So it was when we got to the premises, then they were entering, and I was like, oh, if I go and sit, it will be difficult for me to come out. So let me go and pee and come back.
Mm.
I was in the washroom. I realized one of my friends is calling me. I picked up and said, when you saba, me saba. Masa, don't bring.
Don't come
And
and joke with me.
so I
What kind of act is that?
even drew her. So I now entered the hall. Then I met one of our juniors in UCC saying, congratulations. In my head, the normal congratulations. We've all passed those because
Yes.
I just
Congratulations on
did
passing.
thing. So I walk further and good Pachi calls me and says, when Sabano, missing me. Because I didn't believe, and he now opens the book and shows
I
it to me.
showed it to you.
Then I all of a sudden I started shaking. I said, and I didn't even know where I was sitting because I was now looking for where I was supposed to sit. And I said, like tears were just dropping because I was so overwhelmed. It wasn't something I expected to get. If not for anything, I was like, okay, looking at my grade in conveyancing, which was one of my highest mark, 94. I was
Yeah.
thinking, okay,
Probably
conveyancing, get,
your birthday. Yeah.
at least that is what I can get. Look, so I don't know, but that day I was overwhelmed. Then you start getting calls. Hey, people from my village now are calling me.
Everybody is calling.
Yes, big women and men who like they call. Even my district or chief executive calls
Yeah.
me. Even I've never spoken to her before. He doesn't. She doesn't even know my father. My father doesn't even know him. Then they start calling. So it was really an overwhelming and humbling moment. for me. So I now understood when I had a dream and I was told that I would take care of it.
Of you that day, I could see my status, and almost all the people in our class are posting and congratulating you. Students, lecturers, other members of the legal fraternity, everybody is mentioning Sabia Bolsong. You feel proud that, oh, I sat with her in class, I know her and all that. So thank you for making all of us proud. Yeah. Thank you so much. So we are coming to the end of the conversation. I would want to put you on the spot. I am going to give you few minutes to talk about something that you would want the public to learn. I think it should be a subject matter of law here. So, what would you want to teach the general public?
Okay, so I don't want to go into matters of law school. I want to come down to the basics of some of the courses we did in faculty of law, or in the
Okay, go for it.
about contract, because contract is something day in day out we always get ourselves into, even though we might not put things down in writing. We can orally agree and it becomes binding on us. So I just want to talk about one of the elements of contracts,
Okay.
intention to create legal relations. Yes, because most of the time we tend to forget that you one offering or one making an offer or promising to do something, and you promising to do something in return, or you accepting the offer that has been given, does not mean that there is a valid or an enforceable contract between the two of you. All right. So someone might ask what contract is. Contract is basically some terms and conditions that makes up a bargaining. So the way you bargain, an individual bargains with another to agree to certain terms and also further agree for it to be binding on them. Then we'll say those are whatever agreement they went into is a contract.
Yeah.
All right. So some of the things or elements that you need to establish when it comes to a contract is the fact that there has to be an offer, there should be a corresponding acceptance. Then you come down to any consideration you would want to give in relation to that. Then you also have to have the capacity to contract. Then there should be that intention to create legal relation. So what do we intention to create legal relation? It's just the mind behind the fact that this terms or offer I'm accepting from this individual is something that I want it to be enforceable against both myself and the other individual in the event where any disagreements occasions and we have to go to court. So did I mean to enter into this contract, and did I intend for this contract to be enforceable on the two of us? All right. So when it comes to intention to create legal relation, it has categorized contract into two broad headings or types. We have the social, family, and other relation sort of contracts. Then we have a commercial contract. So when we talk about social, we are talking about contracts with our families, contracts with maybe people that due to we staying together, we end up having relations with. We also talk about
Right.
contracts with husband and wife, and also contracts. Yeah, so contracts between husband and wife. Then also contracts between a parent and a child. So when it comes to the social contract, let's say if a parent decides to enter into an agreement with his child to do a particular thing, or okay, I attend the school and I'll pay or I'll allow you to come and live with me. Okay. Is that particular contract in the event where one is not um one is not doing his bid under that particular agreement, do we say we should go to court to enforce it because there was an intention to create legal relief? No. If it's between a parent and a child, the law presumes that there's no intention to create legal relation. It's just that wants a child to do something and just comes out with certain promises just for the child to lure the child to do a particular thing. So it's not. We also look at one between ordinary family members. So if maybe I agree to, I have a car, then maybe a sister or a cousin or an auntie of mine decides to join me. Okay, then maybe he decides to maybe give me money, help me buy the fuel. Then we go and yes, we go through and through. It doesn't mean that if at the event where maybe an accident occasions, the other person must pay damages because of the fact that I was maybe helping you buy fuel. All right. So those the court presumes that there was no intention to create legal relation because it was just a mere agreement they entered into. All right. When it comes to a husband and a wife, the law sees a husband and wife as one unit. So whatever the wife, what the woman is, the husband is also doing. All right. So in this that situation where they live together as husband and wife, and maybe they enter into some agreements, and one person goes to do his bit of the agreements, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is enforceable by the court just because we agreed or you made me do something in exchange for something. All right. So if I do, the law presumes to not to be intended to have what legal relation. However, there are situations where the husband and wife may be separated. So even though they've not done the divorce, they are living separately or they are not together under one unit or they are not living together as husband and wife. In those instances, any promise you, the man, makes to the woman, the law presumes that there was an intention to create legal relation. All right. And there are also other domestic situations where, by virtue of the fact that we live together, we decide to enter certain agreements. And if the agreements that we entered into, there's this element that we were heading for a common purpose, or we contributed to do something for all our benefits, then at the end of the day, if one person does not do his bit, then the law will presume that there was an intention to create a legal relation. All right. And finally, if we talk about commercial or business agreements, commercial or business agreements is just basically two entities. So it's not under the social setting. It's for like business oriented agreements. So if two companies or entities enter into a contract to do a commercial business or to do a business, then such agreements it will be deemed as there is an intention to create legal relations. Yes. And the burden lies on the person who is saying that there was no such intention to create legal relation to prove to the court that indeed that we, even though it was a commercial or a business agreement, we did not intend to create legal relations. Yes. So even though under commercial or business agreements, the presumption is there is an intention to create legal relation. It could be rebutted, and by rebutting it, it's either you are proving to the court that amidst or in the agreement, we agree that this particular agreement will not be intended to create legal relation, therefore enforced by the law courts, or that per the deeds of the parties, it could be inferred that it was not a contract that was deemed to be intended to create legal relation, therefore cannot be enforced by the law courts. So in lives, as we are entering into agreements, we are supposed to be minded or be mindful of these types of agreements and how we go about it, making promises to other parties. So this is the little intro.
Okay. Thank you once again. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm glad that you accepted my request to do this interview with me. I'm hoping that we'll continue this conversation some other time because there are a lot of things to talk about. I know this is the first session. Maybe probably some other time we would talk about something else too. So thank you so much for making the time to be here with me today.
Thank you so much for having
Thank
me in your little hours to come and at least tell
you.
people. It's actually an educative program, and I just pray God gives you the strength to keep pushing ahead because I know you have been a very hardworking girl from day one. So your best is so that you get the views you want.
Thank you.
If you need, just
All
be.
right. Okay. Thank you so much. So I'll leave you and then I'll
Mm.
talk to you.
Have a wonderful day.
All right. Enjoy the rest of the evening. So please go ahead, subscribe to the channel, and then tell other people about this channel. Thank you so much. And until I come your way another time, please take care of yourself and be cautious over the internet. See ya.